morning. My name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting an update from Burin Gold, which trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol BURG. And joining me today is CEO David Clark. David, thank you very much for coming on the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks very much. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. And as a general introduction to Burin Gold, for some of our listeners that may not know the story, could you please give us a brief overview of the company and your flagship Hickeys Pawn Paradise Gold project in Newfoundland?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just pull up the right slides here. We have a standard forward-looking statement slide. So the story of Burin Gold really is pretty simple. It starts in 2018. It was a private company. We staked a large land position in Newfoundland, which is one of the premier mining jurisdictions in the world. This is a large property, target-rich, and highly untested. The work that we did between 2018 and 2021, we did a variety of work programs to bring the project up to drill-ready status. We tested the project with a few drill holes in 2020, had some great, very encouraging results, and we were able to list the company on the TSX.V in November of 2021, trading under the symbol BURG. We raised $6.5 million as part of the IPO. And since then, we've been testing our property with some drill projects, starting at our flagship Hickeys Pawn project, and then moving on to some of our district scale targets. Very quickly, where we are in Newfoundland, we're here in the southeast part of Newfoundland. It's the red star on this map. This is a geological terrain that is where we find a number of high sulfidation and low sulfidation epithermal projects. This type of deposit is slightly different from the orogenic gold projects that we find in central Newfoundland, but it's one of the reasons that eastern Newfoundland has been explored quite a bit less than central Newfoundland historically. So it's really an opportunity to pick up a large land package that has seen very little exploration in the past. This is the property itself. You can see the corridors here. There are two corridors, an eastern corridor and a western corridor. So the eastern corridor is the Hickeys Pawn. The western corridor is called the Paradise, and so it's the Hickeys Pawn Paradise Gold Project. The yellow stars here represent historical showings. This is about 20 kilometers in length from the yellow star at the bottom to yellow star at the top. So it's quite a large property. None of these targets have ever been drill tested historically, with the exception of a few holes at the red star, which is Hickeys Pawn. So it's a large property that doesn't have a lot of outcrop, has some great targets. Each of these targets has all the right ingredients for high sulfidation epithermal mineralization. They all need drilling, and that's what we've been doing since the start of the year.
And this week, Burin Gold announced the latest results from Hickeys Pawn Paradise Gold Project as part of the final assays from your summer drill program. Could you run us through that release and perhaps summarize the program a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the program we did in this year at Hickeys Pawn was really designed to test the volume of rock around the main historical showing. So we wanted to see, what does it look like in the subsurface? How far does it go along strike? And we'll test it to depth, at a reasonable first pass depth. So this is what we have here. Hickeys Pawn is the showing right on the little knob in the middle of this pond. We've tested in 2022, 23 holes that tested about 600 meters of strike. You can see here on this map, the yellow will be the composite interval over 0.3 grams, and the reds are over 1 gram. So you can see a very continuous and consistent zone of mineralization here, several hundred meters in length, open to depth. And we're getting highlights, kinds of things like 16 meters at 1.57 grams, or 10.5 meters at 1.37, or 34 at 0.8. These are showing the beginnings of a large low-grade system at Hickeys Pawn that has continuity, that's open to depth, that's open to the southwest, potentially open to the northeast. And we've only tested a small amount of the overall geophysical anomaly. So I think this is a great start on this project. Of course, we'd like to see higher grades. Everybody always would like to see higher grades. But this is the beginnings of a nice low-grade resource. We need to drill it out. We need to look for higher grade. We need to test it to depth. And, so I think we have a great start done here. Hickeys Pawn is obviously going to need some more work in the future. It's going to need some more drilling. It's going to need some deeper drilling, and we're going to need to test that large 7-kilometer long geophysical anomaly. But I think what we've shown this summer is that we have the beginnings of a very interesting system.
And what are the next steps as we head into the fall-winter season for this target area?
Well, right now we still have a number of data sets that are incoming. We've obviously released the gold fire assay data. But the multi-element geochemistry is almost all in. We have spectral mineralogy coming in. We're doing some petrographic thin section work. All of that work is going to be analyzed and interpreted over the next month or so. And then we'll be putting it all together, throwing it on to our geological model and seeing what it tells us about where to go next. So there are, until we've done all that work and until we've compiled all those data, it would be premature to talk about what the exact specific next steps are. But I'm confident that this project, needs a lot more work. It'll be a matter of taking all those data, putting them together and seeing what the geological model indicates. I suspect we're going to need to do more drilling along strike. I suspect we're going to need to test it deeper. And there are a number of really interesting features in some of our previous data sets, for example, biogeochemistry that have never been tested, that have the potential to be really exciting. So there's a lot of targets to test here. It's going to be a matter of prioritizing and ranking them through this part of this fall exercise.
And during the summer program, you also completed a mapping and sampling program on numerous undrilled prospects throughout the property. Could you discuss these areas of interest at all?
Yeah. So what we've done, all of these historical showings, all these yellow stars here, particularly the western one here, what's called the Bullwinkle Strange Corridor, or the Paradise Trend. These showings we spent some time at sampling, mapping to get a better idea of how big the alteration system is and get a more representative suite of samples through it. Those samples are now in the lab. We're expecting to get results back in the coming week or two, and that will help inform how we rank these targets for drilling. The summer program, we started drilling the next target after Hickeys Pawn. That was Tower, which is the one down here in the southeast. And I'll discuss the results of Tower, but I want to stress that Tower was just the first target out of all of these targets to be drilled. We drilled Target because it was the easiest to get to in the summer drill program, right on the road, very easy logistically, and it dovetailed very nicely with what we were doing at Hickeys Pawn. But it is just the first target. It wasn't I don't even know that it was our favorite target. It was just a target. All of these targets need to be tested. So I'll discuss the results at Tower. I think they were quite encouraging. What we did at Tower is we drilled just under 2,000 meters over about 850 meters of strike. You can see the plan map here. You can see the historical showing, which is the little cleared area in the middle of this map. And you can see the traces of our drill programs, or drill holes rather. What we've done is we put in 9 holes. You can see that almost all the holes intersected gold mineralization. The grades, unfortunately, are not very high. However, we have some nice broad intercept of low-grade mineralization. And I think this tells us this is a large system. It's open in all directions. It's open to depth, and it has a lot of smoke. These grades are, of course, likely not economic, but it doesn't mean that there isn't very close by something that could be much more interesting. So it was a great start. It showed proof of concept that all of these targets need to be tested, and that's what we're going to be doing systematically, hopefully starting in the winter. Once we've done our ranking exercise, we'll be in a position then to determine what next steps have to be done. But I'd like to see us proceed systematically by drilling the targets. The targets that I'd like to start on would be Bullwinkle and Strange here in the southwest of the property. These are large alteration systems. They've never seen a drill hole. There's some very interesting grades on surface. There are lots of hydrothermal alteration products on surface, the right type of alteration, and stuff that's very reminiscent of Hickeys Pond, particularly at Strange. So these are some exciting targets. They've never seen a drill hole. There's very little surface exposure. They just need basic drilling, and that's hopefully what we'll be attacking over the winter.
All right. Sounds like we have to have you back on very soon then.
I hope so indeed. Thanks very much, Megan.
Thank you so much for coming on today, David, and have a great day.
You as well. Thanks very much.